Hello everybody, and welcome to something I said I'd make with the end of my 100-line first scenario LTC playthrough. I'm going to be doing a tier list of unit viability, just rating units based on how efficient they are, do they save turns, and are they worth your investment? Are they worth the resources it takes to get them their max level skills? So let's start with Takumi here. Takumi's a pretty easy, necessary tier. Now, early on, he definitely does struggle. He only has Side Slash to begin with, so he's definitely not impressive at base, especially compared to the likes of Hiriko and Darumi. But once you unlock Impact Stab and Air Blade, which you kind of need to do, otherwise certain fights you almost certainly would lose turns, namely the battle at Second to Last Defense Academy. The units there kind of struggle, especially on the first wave, just on their own. You definitely need Takumi to really get that first wave cleared. And then on top of that, there's also a couple waves where he's one of 2 units total, such as the first wave of the Moko fight and the Veshness fight. So without him, you would definitely be losing turns there, just having Nozomi try and do something. So I'd say he's a pretty easy necessary. Now on to Hiriko. Hiriko is a very interesting character to rate, seeing as she is available for all of 2 mandatory battles. Despite that, I'd say she's definitely necessary. Yeah, she's only around for 2 fights. Those 2 fights she saves turns on, right? You would not be able to do enough damage to Mervrum in Wave 2 of those fights without her. Yeah, you would definitely lose at least a turn. So, over the course of the game, she's around for 2 maps, and she single-handedly saves you at least 2 turns. I would say that's pretty huge. Next, Takemaru. What does he have going for him? He has the second best availability in the game, just behind Takumi. That's about it. Top of weak, bottom of middling. I'd put him in middling just because he's consistent, right? He's not the worst possible character to invest in, because he's pretty consistent, he's around, but his default attacks just don't do a lot. The range on them isn't great. Having a move with attack 3 is nice. In fact, I can pull it up. I have the wiki right here. Where's Takemaru? There he is. Yes, out of my way. It's a circle around him. It's a little useful early on, especially on day 1. There's like a couple... There's one place for him to use it effectively. Not the game wants you to. Eat this is... The move debuff does nothing. 2 damage to 4 enemies max, not great. And then put him up. The taunt doesn't matter, but 3 damage, if you unlock this early, it's... I mean, that's a decent chunk of damage, right? That's an impact stab. Except with arguably worse range, because it's this weird, like, pyramid thing. His special... I do like the range on his special, so I'll give him that. That's probably his biggest strength. Yeah, you could definitely... There are much worse units than Takemaru, but on his own, he doesn't really do a whole lot. In fact, you know what? I'm putting him at the top of weak. He doesn't... I'm saving middling for units who maybe have one moment where they really shine, but don't really do anything besides that. So, for now, I'll put Takemaru in weak. I might move him up. Next, Darumi. Darumi... She's kind of like a Diet Hiriko, in that she's extremely good early. But, I mean, as opposed to Hiriko, who literally leaves the party, Darumi gets a little overclassed, outclassed, once you get a certain other unit. But for the maps where she is one of your few units, and again, she has really strong availability, only behind Takumi and Takemaru, because Takemaru's around for the invader base while she isn't, so she almost has perfect availability. Before you unlock items, She is really strong. She's your most consistent way to farm voltage before you have desperation potions or mines. So yeah, the day 7 battle, she's the best candidate to just clear the first wave on her own after you get the rest of your units killed for free voltage, so I would put her in strong, personally. She doesn't really single-handedly save turns, but for the maps where you're limited on resources, which are definitely the hardest maps in the game, she really carries. Just not to the extent of Hiriko, of course. Next we have your boy Aito. Aito's pretty handedly going up there. He does single-handedly save turns on his join map. It takes a bit of rigging, but his special fortune telling, if you get the right combination of getting the attack boost when you want it and getting the fatigue refresh otherwise, he's necessary for that boss kill, if you want to do it as fast as possible. The map after he joins is also really good for him. Wave 1, there's no Takumi. So, and the enemies are set up in a way where use of Jury can just very easily clear all the eggs and get you a bunch of AP. His moves are all just good range, good damage, especially when you factor in the fact that with his fortune telling he can get an attack boost out of that for free. It's very nice. And then yeah, he just is worth investment. At least get Jury and Executioner, just because they help him out quite a bit. And yeah, he's good at boss killing, he's good at wave clearing, really doesn't have any weaknesses, and yeah, he's definitely necessary to the fastest possible clear. Alright, Tsubasa. Tsubasa's weird, because she's probably the best unit in the game with investment. Without it, she's just okay. I think I'll put her at the very top of strong. She never gets fatigued, which is insane. That just makes her the best unit in the game for wave clearing. Really, her only issue is her base attack of 1. It's not great. She's really gonna struggle to take on the shield guys, the guys who when you hit them gain a shield. Thankfully, that's what attack potions and voltage is for, because you can just Unyielding Spirit, use a Desperation Potion, use an Attack Potion. Suddenly she's doing 4 damage, or 5 damage, or upwards of 6 damage if you have her maxed out and also use the Attack +1 boost, so her only weakness is so easy to bypass. Her other skills are also okay. Her Accelerate has a use in the first scenario. I did use it in my clear of her join map, just to get Aito up to the boss. We could kill her. Yeah, very strong. Definitely not necessary, because by the time she joins is right around the time you're unlocking items, and while yes, having a unit who can run around the whole map wave clearing is really good, you also are going to have agility potions and spring traps, so not mandatory, but she's very, very strong with investment. Gaku. Gaku's not great. I feel like he'd be really good if he joined just a couple maps earlier, but his attack rally is pretty much worthless because it's outclassed by attack potions. His biggest strength is his regular attack, because it's a pretty big AoE. But the base damage is 1. You can get it up to 2 if you have at least 100% voltage, but that's such an annoying requirement for you to have to just hold on to your voltage and not spend it for him to get the damage boost. It's awkward to play around that, when you could use that for an attack boost or an Unyielding Spirit or as a movement refresh, AP refresh. I'm not a huge fan of Gaku. On his join map, he does have that first wave where he is pretty much necessary, so I'll give him that. I might put him above Takamaru for that alone, because Takamaru doesn't really have any instance of that. Besides that, yeah, Gaku doesn't really do all too much. Alright, on to the second to last Defense Academy characters. First up's good ol' Nozomi. I'm so tempted to put her in useless. I mean, In a potionless playthrough, I could see her being useful. Not in a run where you're using potions. Her biggest selling point is her bolstering bullet, which is an attack buff, and her, what's the one? Recovery bullet? What's it called? So, man. Rescue bullet, which is a fatigue refresh. A status effect refresh in general, right? It's nice to have. But she joins on the map where you unlock items. Agility potions are right there. You have the voltage move again option that also refreshes fatigue. There's just so many ways to refresh fatigue that she's just not necessary. On Extreme and Despair at least. Now, she's better on other difficulties because supers don't cost 2 AP, which means you can just spam regular supers and then use a rescue bullet to get the stun off of them. But regular supers on Extreme and Despair just aren't worth it. Much rather use a Desperation move because it's going to kill your unit for free, which is a good thing. The only SRPG I've played where you just actively want your own units to die. Pretty funny. But yeah, on this difficulty, first scenario, I'd say Nozomi's pretty much useless. She doesn't have a use case, really. She stuns one enemy on her join map, which is cool if you want her to do that. And then after that, you should be pretty much one-turning every wave after the map she joins on, so. Oh, Carrara. Carrara has one major contribution in the entire game, and for that alone, I'm putting her in middling. Her super single-handedly makes it possible to clear the boss fight with Adamakyu on her join map. If you didn't have that as an option, you wouldn't be able to one-turn that wave. So for her single use case of saving turns, I'm putting her in middling. Besides that, her turret's not useful when you're playing fast. Her basic attack's not useful. That's all I can say about her. She's outclassed as soon as you can go to the metal shop and purchase explosive mines, but hey, in an itemless playthrough, I'm sure you'd get a lot of use out of using her bombs in place of just using explosive mines, so that's cool. It's a cool niche to have, that like she helps you blow up your own units. It's just not useful when explosive mines exist, but for the one map you don't have them, hey, she's right there to do that at the cost of 2 AP and 100% voltage. Yoshka. I'm a big Yoshka fan. I'd say she's definitely necessary on her join map. She's probably the only second... Well, Carrara is useful for that map too. She's necessary for that map, but Kyoshka at least stays relevant afterwards. I'd put her in strong with Durumi and Tsubasa. She, without Hiriko being present, she's the best boss killer in the game, which is nice. She has the highest single target damage in the game with her Shigure no Mai, which, yes, does stun her, but it's still extremely useful to be able to, like, one-shot big bodies without a super. So, yeah, really great at boss killing, pretty necessary on her join map, and unlike Carrara, who's only useful on her join map, she stays pretty relevant the whole time. Yugamu. What does this guy even do? His gimmick is debuffing enemies. Just not useful when your enemies shouldn't be getting turns. He could theoretically be like a budget boss killer because of his passive where he gets +2 attack on enemies with status effects, right? The Sacrificial Viper, 2 base attack, inflicts bleed. So we could do 2 at first and then 4. It's not good. Other units are doing more damage. Aito's doing more damage, Takumi's doing more damage, Kyoshka's doing more damage. So even his best case scenario of like boss killing is he's not great at, so I would put him in useless, right with Nozomi. Do I even need to talk about Shoma? He can't even attack things at base. His super does 1 damage. The AoE is really good, does 1 damage, so you're never using it. and you can purchase an attack for him if you upgrade him, get his Omega Punch. Does 1 damage to 4 enemies and stuns him. You know, on second thought, I think Yugamo moves up because at least he's better than Shoma. Yeah. Like, way better than Shoma. Yugamo can actually do damage to things. That's crazy. Maybe Useless should actually be for the useless characters, huh? Speaking of useless characters, Ima is around in the first scenario for all of 2 waves. On those 2 waves, he doesn't do anything. He's not needed to save turns. Does nothing. Theoretically, if he stuck around for the rest of the game, his passive's pretty good, where he gets +2 attack when Kako's in danger, but let's look at his attack ranges, because I didn't use him in the LTC. Where's Ima? Yep, his default attack, 2, so with Kako in Crisis, he'd be at 4. But 3 enemies. Wow, that's 1 attack over Takamaru's ability that does the exact same thing. This move, literally useless. It pushes enemies around. Great. And then aerial engagement, it's like Juri if it sucked. Because it's just 4 enemies in a diagonal. And it'd be at 4 base damage if Kako was in danger, so... yeah. The flight +2 would do something if he stuck around, because there's a couple flying bosses. That's all I can say about Ima. Easily the most useless character in the game. At least Shoma's consistent, because he's around for half the battles. Ima is around for 2 waves total. And finally, Kako. Kako... even on her tutorial wave, where she joins, she's like, oh, I can hit the mist guys from a distance. He's not necessary. You can just use Takumi with Air Blade to kill those guys. So you know you're not doing great when even on your tutorial, you're not necessary. Eesh. Yeah, she isn't useless because she does damage, right? If she stands still, she gets attack +3. Great. This move, 3 base attacks of 6. Not bad. Ignores armor. She can one-shot certain enemies if she doesn't move first. Spirit Rain, 3 +3 +2 against flyers. She can do 6 flying damage. Not bad. It instantly debuffs her, but that's good for an attack. Hellfire, which you have to actually unlock. 3 base attack. If she doesn't move, that's 6. And it can actually hit up to 8 enemies. Like, that's pretty good. She's good for exactly 1 attack until she either stuns herself or debuffs her own attack. And then she's not doing much, but hey, that's better than some units who you're not even going to use them to attack once in a map, so I'll give Kako that. I still don't think she's particularly good. But yeah. Just for his sheer availability, and because Kurora's looking lonely, I think I'll move Takamaru into middling. He doesn't save turns himself anywhere, but he's just so consistent that, with investment, he's at least doing something, right? He's at least around. Balances out the tier list, makes it look nice and symmetrical. I think he goes to bottom of middling. And then of course we have other units here who aren't even around in first scenario. But yeah, that's my rather slapdash tier list of unit viability, specifically for first scenario efficient play with potions on Extreme and Despair. So if you haven't played using that rule set, that difficulty set, then you might have questions, and that's perfectly fine. But this is just for my playthrough that I just did. If you haven't, you should watch it, because it has some funny stuff in it, like using Kurara to blow up our own units, but yeah. Let me know if you have any questions. If you've done a similar run, maybe you were able to get some epic use out of someone like Yugamo or Shoma. I'd love to see a Shoma moment on this difficulty LTC. I'm sure that's happened before. Anyways, yeah, thanks for watching. This wasn't my most high-effort video, but Hey, I at least have done a playthrough on this. I at least have some authority here, right? Anyways, I'll talk to y'all next time. Have a good one.